Have you ever wondered why some people quietly amass fortunes while others, despite earning millions, remain trapped in a cycle of financial insecurity? Wealth isn't a roaring sports car speeding down the highway. It's a whisper, a quiet force moving undetected right next door. The true millionaires of the world don't drape themselves in gold or sip champagne on private jets. They walk among us in unassuming clothes, driving reliable cars, dining at ordinary restaurants. And yet their bank accounts hold a quiet power that outlasts generations. This is the startling revelation of The Millionaire Next Door, a book that shatters every myth we've been sold about wealth. It's not about lottery wins, Silicon Valley moonshots, or Wall Street trickery. The real millionaires don't live in penthouses. They live in middle-class neighborhoods. They aren't drowning in debt for designer labels. They buy functional, durable goods and wear them for years. They don't flex wealth, they build it. And that is shocking, because everything we've been conditioned to believe, by flashy influencers, relentless advertisements, and a culture obsessed with appearances, tells us that wealth looks a certain way. The truth, it's the opposite. Consider this: two men stand before you. One wears a Rolex, tailored suit, and Italian loafers, stepping out of a gleaming luxury car. The other wears an old but well-kept jacket, drives a reliable Toyota, and carries a modest leather wallet. Who is wealthier? Instinct whispers the first. Reality laughs. It's the second. The first is a high-income earner, possibly drowning in debt, spending as fast as he makes. The second is a stealth millionaire, quietly stacking assets, letting his investments grow, free from the pressure of performance. And here's where it gets even more unsettling. The very people we idolize for their apparent affluence often live paycheck to paycheck, chasing a mirage of financial security, while the real millionaires, those with actual economic power, move silently, making decisions that compound over time. They don't care about looking rich, they care about being rich. So if wealth isn't about massive paychecks or extravagant lifestyles, what is it? How do the rich actually think? How do they behave? And most importantly, how can you apply these principles to secure financial independence without chasing empty symbols of success? It's time to dismantle the illusion, unearth the truth, and reveal the blueprint of real wealth. What if I told you that earning a high salary has almost nothing to do with becoming wealthy? That a doctor making $500,000 a year could be teetering on the edge of financial ruin, while a school teacher earning a fraction of that quietly builds a fortune? It sounds absurd, doesn't it? And yet this is the reality that The Millionaire Next Door exposes. Wealth isn't about how much money flows into your bank account. It's about how much stays there. Think of income like water from a faucet. If the drain is wide open, it doesn't matter how much you pour in. It all flows right out. High earners often fall into this trap. They inflate their lifestyles to match their paychecks, buying luxury cars, oversized homes, and designer everything. They tell themselves they deserve it, that their status demands it. And just like that, they become prisoners to their own spending, locked in a cycle where more income only fuels more consumption. Now contrast this with the millionaire next door, the one who earns a modest income but spends intentionally. They understand that money is a tool, not a trophy. Instead of upgrading their car every 2 years, they drive it for a decade. Instead of dining at Michelin-starred restaurants every week, they cook at home and invest the difference. They let time and compound interest work in their favor, quietly amassing wealth while others chase symbols of it. This is where discipline separates the truly wealthy from the merely high-earning. A disciplined saver making $60,000 a year, investing 20% of their income, will surpass an undisciplined earner making $500,000 who spends it all. And the numbers prove it. According to Stanley and Danko's research, many self-made millionaires never earned 6 figures in a single year, but they mastered the art of keeping, growing, and investing their money. Consider the janitor who died with $8 million in savings. He never made more than an average salary, but he consistently invested a portion of his income in index funds. Meanwhile, highly paid athletes, celebrities, and executives frequently go broke because their income tricked them into believing they were rich, until the money stopped coming in. The hard truth? High income can disguise financial insecurity, while disciplined spending creates financial freedom. The real secret to wealth isn't found in the size of your paycheck. It's in the way you manage what you already have. If wealth were about spending, the richest people would be those who buy the most. And yet, the world is full of high-income earners who live paycheck to paycheck, drowning in debt, while quiet millionaires build fortunes in the shadows. Why? Because wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And the weapon of choice for the truly wealthy? Frugality. Frugality is not about being cheap. It's not about hoarding pennies, refusing to enjoy life, or wearing the same tattered clothes for decades. No, frugality is about making intentional choices, knowing where your money goes and ensuring it serves you, not the expectations of others. Imagine two neighbors. One drives a brand new luxury SUV, lives in an enormous house, and always has the latest gadgets. The other drives a 5-year-old Toyota, lives in a comfortable but modest home, and rarely splurges on trends. Society assumes the first is wealthy. But when financial hardship strikes, an economic downturn, a job loss, a medical emergency, it's the second neighbor who weathers the storm while the first drowns in debt. This isn't theory. The data proves it. According to the Millionaire Next Door, most millionaires don't live in mansions, don't drive luxury cars, and don't flaunt their wealth. Instead, they budget, save, and invest. In fact, a large percentage of self-made millionaires buy used cars, live in the same homes for decades, and refuse to spend money just to impress people. Take Warren Buffett, one of the richest men on the planet, who still lives in the house he bought in 1958. Or Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, who drove an old pickup truck despite being a billionaire. They understood that financial security isn't built on looking rich. It's built on compounding smart financial decisions over time. And yet society tells us to do the opposite. It pressures us to upgrade, to follow trends, to show off success. But what if true financial power comes from resisting that pressure? What if the smartest money move isn't to buy luxury, but to invest in freedom? Frugality isn't deprivation, it's control. It's the difference between working because you have to and working because you want to. It's choosing wealth over waste, power over perception. It's the mindset that separates those who struggle from those who thrive. And if you adopt it, you'll start to see money not as something to be spent, but as something to be harnessed. If you believe wealth is inherited, that the rich are simply born into privilege while the rest of us struggle, you've been sold a lie. The majority of millionaires didn't win the genetic lottery. They didn't stumble into fortune. They built it, slowly, deliberately, and often from nothing. The data from the Millionaire Next Door is clear. 80% of millionaires are first-generation wealthy. That means they weren't handed a trust fund or a golden ticket. They worked, saved, invested, and made smart financial choices over decades. Meanwhile, many who inherit wealth squander it within a generation. Why? Because wealth is a skill, not a gift, and those who build it understand its true value. Take two individuals. One inherits $1 million but never learns how to manage it. They buy an expensive house, lease a luxury car, take lavish vacations, and within years the money is gone. The other starts with nothing, but they master the art of living below their means, saving aggressively and investing wisely. Over time, their wealth surpasses the inherited fortune, not because they had more, but because they knew what to do with what they had. Real-life examples are everywhere. Howard Schultz, the man behind Starbucks, grew up in public housing. Oprah Winfrey was born into poverty. Even Elon Musk started with student debt and had to live in a small office while building his first business. What separates them from the millions who stay stuck in financial mediocrity? The mindset of ownership. Self-made millionaires don't wait for permission. They don't expect a miracle or rely on luck. They take control of their income, their spending, their investments. They understand that financial freedom isn't handed out, it's earned. But here's the paradox. Many people who don't inherit wealth assume they never will be rich, while those who do inherit wealth often lose it because they take it for granted. The truth is, being born wealthy is no guarantee of staying wealthy, just as being born broke is no sentence to stay that way. The real millionaires aren't the ones who start ahead. They're the ones who play the game smarter. They build, protect, and multiply their wealth, not because they were given more, but because they knew how to make the most of what they had. If wealth were simply a matter of income, lottery winners would stay rich, and professional athletes would never go broke. But we know that's not the case. Time and time again, we see people who make millions lose it all, while others, earning far less, quietly build financial empires. The difference? A plan. A millionaire doesn't stumble into wealth any more than an architect stumbles into a skyscraper. A strong financial foundation requires a blueprint, a budget, a strategy, a long-term vision. And yet, most people treat their finances like a leaky boat. Money comes in, money goes out, and at the end of the month, they have no idea where it all went. The wealthy, on the other hand, treat their finances with intentionality. Every dollar has a purpose. Every decision is part of a larger plan. Take the 50-30-20 rule, a simple budgeting framework used by many financially successful people. 50% for needs, housing, food, utilities, 30% for wants, travel, entertainment, lifestyle upgrades, 20% for savings and investments. It sounds simple, yet the discipline to follow it is what separates those who achieve financial independence from those who constantly struggle. Consider the difference between two high earners. One spends freely, never tracking expenses, assuming their high income will always be there. The other lives by a strict budget, ensuring a portion of every paycheck is saved and invested. Fast forward 10 years, one is burdened by debt, stressed over bills. The other, financially free, with growing investments and options. This isn't just theory. The Millionaire Next Door found that the vast majority of millionaires budget religiously. They track their spending, set financial goals, and adjust when necessary. They understand that without a plan, wealth is temporary, but with one, it's inevitable. Think of it like driving. Without a map, you might wander aimlessly, hoping to reach your destination. A budget is that map. It tells your money where to go, instead of wondering where it went. Planning doesn't just protect wealth, it creates it. And the sooner you start, the sooner you take control, not just of your finances, but of your entire future. If making money were enough to become rich, every high earner would be wealthy. But wealth isn't built by earning alone, it's built by multiplying. And that's where investing comes in. The average millionaire doesn't stash their money under a mattress. They don't rely on savings accounts with interest rates that barely outpace inflation. They understand a fundamental truth. Money sitting idle is money losing value. Instead, they put their money to work, strategically, consistently, and patiently. Investing isn't a game of luck, it's a game of discipline. While others chase the latest stock tips, time the market, or throw money into speculative trends, real millionaires stick to proven, time-tested strategies. Index funds over stock picking, because even professionals struggle to beat the market. Real estate over reckless spending, because assets appreciate while liabilities drain wealth. Long-term over short-term thinking, because compound interest is the greatest financial force on earth. Consider this: a person who invests just $500 per month into an S&P 500 index fund from age 25 to 65, earning an average 8% return, will retire with over $1.7 million. Meanwhile, someone earning twice as much but spending it all will retire with nothing. This isn't just a numbers game, it's a mindset shift. Wealthy people don't see investing as optional. They see it as non-negotiable. They don't wait until they have extra money. They invest first and adjust their lifestyle around it. Compare two coworkers. One spends every paycheck, convinced they'll start investing someday. The other starts small, $100 a month, then $200, then more as their income grows. Fast forward 20 years, the first is still stuck in the rat race, while the second has built a foundation of financial freedom. The wealthy don't just earn money, they deploy it. Every dollar they invest is a worker in their financial army, growing, compounding, and securing their future. The question isn't whether you should invest. The question is, how long will you wait before letting your money work for you? Because time is the most powerful investment tool of all, and the longer you wait, the harder it is to catch up. Imagine climbing a mountain, reaching a new height, only to realize the peak has moved higher. No matter how much you ascend, it never feels like enough. This is lifestyle inflation, the invisible force that keeps people running on a treadmill of endless spending, no matter how much they earn. It starts subtly. A small raise leads to a slightly nicer car. A promotion justifies a bigger house. A bonus means more vacations, more gadgets, more dining out. But the problem? More income doesn't create wealth if every extra dollar is spent. This is why high earners can still be broke. They increase their expenses as fast as their income grows, trapped in a cycle where they need to work harder just to sustain their ever-expanding lifestyle. It's not a lack of money, it's a lack of discipline. Millionaires understand this trap and actively avoid it. When their income increases, they don't immediately upgrade their lifestyle. Instead, they invest the difference, letting their money grow instead of watching it disappear. They know that true wealth isn't about how much you earn, it's about how much you keep and multiply. Think of two professionals. Both start at $50,000 a year. Over time, both double their salaries to $100,000. One upgrades everything: bigger house, luxury car, designer wardrobe. The other keeps their expenses stable, investing the difference. Fast forward 20 years, one is still working paycheck to paycheck, while the other has quietly built a fortune. And here's the irony. Those who resist lifestyle inflation end up with more freedom. The ones who give in are forever dependent on maintaining high incomes just to survive. The wealthiest people aren't the ones who chase luxury every time they get a raise. They're the ones who understand that financial freedom isn't built on spending. It's built on restraint, patience, and smart choices. The question isn't whether your income will rise. It's whether you'll let lifestyle inflation take it away before you ever get the chance to build real wealth. What's more powerful, owning a luxury car or never worrying about money again? True wealth isn't about impressing strangers. It's about freedom. The ability to wake up and know that no matter what happens, you control your life, not your job, not your paycheck, and certainly not the opinions of others. Society glorifies the illusion of wealth. The flashy car, the designer clothes, the expensive watch, all symbols carefully curated to signal success. But symbols aren't substance. Many of the people flashing their wealth are drowning in debt, living paycheck to paycheck just to look rich. Meanwhile, the real millionaires, the ones with actual financial power, are living quietly, unnoticed, focused on building something that lasts. Think about this. Would you rather own a $100,000 car and owe the bank for it, or drive a $20,000 car and have an extra $80,000 compounding in investments? Most people choose the first, chasing status at the expense of financial security. But millionaires think differently. Take the findings from the Millionaire Next Door. Most millionaires don't buy luxury brands. They live in modest homes, not in gated mansions. They drive reliable, used cars, not brand new luxury vehicles. Why? Because they don't care about looking rich. They care about being free. Here's the paradox. The more someone tries to prove they're wealthy, the less likely they actually are. True millionaires aren't performing for anyone. They don't need validation. They know that wealth isn't about showing off, it's about having options. The ability to retire early, to pursue passion projects, to spend time with family, instead of working endlessly just to maintain an expensive lifestyle. So ask yourself, are you spending to impress others, or are you building real financial independence? Because every dollar spent chasing status is a dollar that could have been used to buy freedom. And in the end, freedom will always be worth more than appearances. There's a reason millionaires don't spend their lives chasing promotions, begging for raises, or worrying about being laid off. They understand a fundamental truth. As long as someone else controls your paycheck, they control your financial future. This is why a significant number of millionaires are self-employed or business owners. According to the Millionaire Next Door, many of the wealthiest individuals don't work for someone else. They own something, a business, a real estate portfolio, a side hustle that grew into an empire. They don't trade time for money. They build assets that generate income whether they're working or not. Think about this. If you work a job, your earnings are capped. Your salary is whatever your boss decides it is. Your career trajectory is at the mercy of corporate budgets, office politics, and economic downturns. But when you own a business, whether it's a small landscaping company, an online store, a consulting firm, or rental properties, you dictate your own financial destiny. This doesn't mean everyone needs to build the next Amazon or Tesla. Many millionaires own unassuming, everyday businesses. A plumber who runs his own contracting business, a self-employed accountant with a growing client base, a small-town laundromat owner who quietly accumulates wealth over decades. They aren't making headlines, but they own their income streams, and that's what makes the difference. Of course, entrepreneurship isn't easy. It requires risk, resilience, and relentless problem solving. But here's the trade-off. When you own a business, every ounce of effort builds your wealth, not your employer's. Every customer you acquire, every product you sell, every contract you land, it all compounds into something that belongs to you, not a corporation that can replace you at any moment. And here's the key. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow. Many millionaires start side businesses, small ventures that grow over time, eventually replacing their salaries. The goal isn't overnight success. The goal is control over your time, your money, and your future. Because in the end, the real path to wealth isn't about working harder for someone else. It's about building something that works for you, long after you stop trading hours for dollars. Wealth that isn't understood is wealth that won't last. The history of money is littered with stories of fortunes built in one generation and squandered in the next. Why? Because financial success isn't just about making money, it's about understanding it. And if parents fail to teach their children how to handle wealth, they're not passing down security. They're passing down a ticking time bomb. Millionaires understand this. That's why, according to the Millionaire Next Door, the wealthy don't just leave behind money. They leave behind mindsets, habits, and discipline. They teach their children how to create and protect wealth, rather than handing them a blank check and hoping for the best. Contrast two scenarios. One family showers their child with luxury, expensive clothes, the newest gadgets, no expectations for work or responsibility. Another teaches their child to budget, to earn their own money, to invest early. Fast forward 20 years. One child is entitled, financially illiterate, and dependent on their parents' wealth. The other is self-sufficient, disciplined, and on their way to financial independence. So what do wealthy parents do differently? They don't give their kids everything they want. They make them earn it. Money given freely is money taken for granted. They teach the value of work. Many self-made millionaires had jobs as teenagers, mowing lawns, bagging groceries, working retail. They learned that money is earned, not handed out. They talk about money openly. They teach their kids how to budget, save, and invest. They explain how credit cards, mortgages, and investments work, lessons that schools fail to provide. They avoid lifestyle creep. Just because they can afford luxury doesn't mean they indulge. They live modestly, setting an example of financial discipline instead of reckless spending. One of the most overlooked truths about wealth is this: money doesn't guarantee financial security. Financial literacy does. A millionaire who raises a child without financial discipline is just preparing them for a future of wasted opportunity. The goal isn't to raise children who inherit money. It's to raise children who know how to create, grow, and sustain their own wealth, so that financial freedom lasts, not just for one generation, but for many to come. Debt is the silent thief of wealth. It disguises itself as opportunity, whispering promises of luxury, ease, and instant gratification. But in reality, debt is a financial leash, one that keeps people trapped in a cycle of dependency, working to pay off yesterday's purchases instead of building tomorrow's wealth. Millionaires understand this better than anyone. According to the Millionaire Next Door, the majority of self-made millionaires have one thing in common. They avoid consumer debt like the plague. They don't finance lifestyles they can't afford. They don't use credit cards as a crutch. They don't take out massive loans for cars, vacations, or designer wardrobes. Instead, they use cash flow, smart financial planning, and patience to accumulate wealth without owing their financial future to a bank. Compare two individuals. One leases a brand new luxury car every 3 years, takes out a mortgage for the biggest house they can qualify for, and racks up credit card debt, dining at expensive restaurants. The other buys a reliable used car in cash, chooses a home well within their means, and only uses credit as a tool, not as an extension of their paycheck. 10 years later, the first person is drowning in monthly payments, while the second has built a fortune. Not all debt is created equal. Of course, millionaires use debt strategically, not recklessly. Bad debt is consumer debt, credit cards, car loans, high-interest personal loans. This is what keeps people poor. Good debt is leveraged wisely. Real estate investments, business loans, low-interest student loans. These are used as stepping stones to build long-term wealth, not to fund instant gratification. The key difference? The wealthy control their debt. It never controls them. They don't borrow money for depreciating assets. They don't take on loans unless there's a clear financial return. And most importantly, they avoid the mindset that debt is normal or necessary. Because the truth is, financial freedom isn't about how much you earn, it's about how much you owe. And the fewer financial obligations you have weighing you down, the faster you can build real, lasting wealth.